All right. There we go. Here. Let's see here. Say pop something. There we go. Got one person in here. There we go. How's everybody doing today? It's Mr. G back with you for another Read Aloud. And this very chilly Monday afternoon, April 13th. I feel like I've reached the point. I don't know if you guys have also reached this point, but I kind of have reached the point where I have a hard time keeping track of what day it is. I mean, I know today is Monday, and it was marked on my calendar and a reminder on my phone calendar, that it was supposed to be the first day back from spring break. Which was kind of surreal that I realized that last week was supposed to be our week off for spring break, which was very surreal to me. I'd have to say one of the weirdest spring breaks that I have had since I started working in education. So weird. It's been nice to see some of you guys messaging me on Dojo, kind of giving me updates on how you guys are doing. I know this is kind of a stressful time. You guys might be feeling a little on edge. I'm right there with you. But hopefully my read-alouds are kind of, at least one part of the day that you kind of forget about what's going on in the world right now. And you can just focus on me and focus on our story. Which is why I think that my read-alouds to you guys here on YouTube are very important. And I want to continue doing them. That's why that I keep alluding to the distance learning plan that myself and the other teachers at Haviland are still working on. We will have it ready by the end of the week, and we'll be sharing it out with you families about what that's going to look like. I know I've had questions about, is there any way that I can borrow technology from the school? Mrs. Van Black has been informed of that. That's one of the reasons why we did the tech survey, to find out if there was going to be a need technology-wise for you families. And she will be reaching out to you guys very soon, as she is still working on what that's going to look like. If it's going to be a delivery or families will have to come to the schools to pick up the technology, that is information I do not have. That is still being discussed with the administration of the LISD. And as soon as a decision is made, I'm sure Mrs. Van Black will be reaching out to you families that have said that you are in need of technology that would help your students' learning. Especially if you have multiple students in your home and you only have one computer, you're going to need some technology help there. So now that we're listening, and we are looking for the best avenue to be able to assist you families in this unique need during this unique time. So kind of got that out of the way, that, we're working on that, and you will know soon, probably, but before the end of the week. But I spent most of this weekend researching what were some materials that I wanted to share to you guys of what we could be working on. And I'll level with you guys. I'm going to try to make this as simple as I can. As much as families are stressing about what this is going to look like, I'm kind of equally putting have that same concern that I'm trying to figure out how I want to make this work, and not only make it where it's going to be beneficial for you at home to not feel stressed to educate your child at home, as much as that it's kind of stressful for me, because this is not something that as a teacher I thought I'd have to come across. This is so unique to the time that we're living in right now that everything is new, everything is kind of unknown, and we kind of have to forge our own path. I've kind of jokingly alluded to that I kind of feel like one of those NASA scientists trying to put their first man up in orbit, that because it's kind of that new of, there isn't a roadmap for this. There isn't, already a set path that, you teach this, you use this software, you use this format, you could use this packet, you could use this handout that you can send. I'm still having to find all that stuff. And I know I'm not the only teacher that's trying to navigate this, just like you guys aren't the only families that are having to navigate this. So I appreciate your guys' patience. I know you guys are anxious to hear what this is going to look like. And I could tell you it's going to look different for each student. Each student has a unique set of needs. I know that I'm going to be doing different things with different students. It's just the nature of the class that I have. And I am trying to plan for each individual student based on their needs and where they're at and where they need to go. So know that, I am carefully picking materials that will be easy not only to be implemented at home, but would be easy for me to teach from also, that I have access to here at my home. So once that is firmly set in place with that plan, you guys will know. And I think this is going to be a good opportunity for us. This is unique, and it's a unique way to learn. We're in unique, unprecedented times. That, it's going to be a process, but we're going to get through this. I kind of feel like that there will be light. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. It seems distant right now, but we're going to get through this. Humanity has always found a way to survive any problem or situation that's found itself in. I know my students, you guys are probably really concerned with the way things are going, worried about, safety of yourself, your family, given the nature of how things are going out in the world. But it's an opportunity for us as human beings to realize we are dependent on each other. The only way we're going to get through this is if we all work together. And that's something that my optimistic worldview is, that we will overcome this. History has shown that we've overcome epidemics and pandemics before. So we will survive this one. It's just going to take all of us working together toward that common goal of beating this thing and then coming out better off on the back end of this thing. All right. I think I've talked enough. So we're going to pick back up with Spy Ski School. We kind of left off with our crew having to face Liu Shang's goons in one of the ski helicopters. They were shot at by his thugs, especially the one guy, Dane, that was the big, scary, blonde Scandinavian dude. They ended up going down the mountain. It was not an approved trail. They actually ended up in one of the national parks that borders Vail, Colorado. And an avalanche was triggered, and our crew was partially buried for a period of time under the snow. But our gang kind of started making their way through the valley to the next town. They're not trusting any rescue patrol helicopters they see, because they say, Liu Shang's guys already took the skiing helicopter over. Who's to say that they hadn't, infiltrated the ski safety patrol or is monitoring their radio transmissions where they could ambush us when the helicopter lands. So they're very much hesitant to ask for help. They are hoping to get to the next town so their cell phones get service again and to be able to call Cyrus or Alexander Hale to kind of link back up with the rest of the team and assess what's happening and where to go from here. Also, Mike is with them, Ben's best friend. He very much found them on top of the mountain just as they were starting to get shot at. And he ended up joining them because he felt, it was safer to be with them than it was to be out in the open on top of the mountain on their own. So very much, he's in shock about, surviving a near-death experience of not only getting shot at, but then racing down a mountain and then almost getting buried by an avalanche. It is now dawned on him that Ben is a legit spy, not just going to school learning to be a spy, but the reason that he came to Colorado was it was a spy mission. He was trying to get close to a target to gather intelligence about a threat to the U.S., and he's in shock about that. He's also shocked to find out that Sasha is actually Erica Hale, and he is very taken aback by that. And we kind of left our friends continuing their trek toward town. So we'll pick up with chapter 19, titled Inspiration. Like Erica had said, there was a town at the mouth of the canyon several miles downstream. It wasn't much of a town, a few rundown buildings lined along a narrow road. But as we were exhausted, starving, and chilled to the bone, it looked like paradise to us. There was only one restaurant, but thankfully it was open. It looked straight out of the Old West, a wooden structure with a wide front porch that you could imagine outlaws ambushing the sheriff from. The parking lot behind it was still so thick with snow that most of the clientele had to come by snowmobile. There were dozens parked there, along with some cross-country skis and snowshoes on the racks by the door, as well as one honest-to-God horse. It was tied to an ancient hitching post, drinking from a trough filled with icy water. It feels like we're in some sort of time warp, Zoe commented. I have coverage, Erica announced triumphantly, looking at her phone. I'll call Grandpa and give him the update. The rest of you head inside, get warm, and grab some food. We didn't need to be told twice. We quickly funneled into the restaurant, shed our damp jackets, unbuckled our ski boots. I felt an incredible sense of euphoria as the pressure was finally relieved on my blistered feet. The restaurant was decorated with a standard array of stuffed dead animals. There seemed to be a law in the Rockies maintaining that at least one jackalope per bar, as well as 100 years of historical detritus nailed to the walls, yellowed photos of the town from the time of its founding, thousands of license plates, a no hunting sign with bullet holes blown in them, and random items like wagon wheels, busted skis, and ancient bicycle parts. The patrons were equally random. They wore everything from cowboy gear to day-glow snowmobiling suits. Everyone stopped talking briefly to check us out as we entered and then resumed their conversations. Suddenly, I got the strange feeling that there was something important in the restaurant. I cased it again, wondering if there were any spies for the Shangs there. Then I wondered if I was just being paranoid. Getting ambushed has that effect on you. Woodchuck pointed all of us to a table and went directly to the waitress. What's the fastest thing that you can make for us to eat? Eggs, I guess, said the waitress. Right, we'll have 6 dozen eggs, please. Scrambled, will be fine. And bacon, Zoe added. And sausage, Mike put in. And pickles, Warren suggested. Bacon and sausage, Woodchuck told the waitress, and then said under his breath, forget the pickles. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. Now that we had reception, all my texts had arrived at once. To my surprise, most of them were from Jessica Shang. I scrolled through them quickly, hoping one might say something like, heard my dad tried to have you killed. Sorry, I'm so angry at him. I'm going to tell you what his evil plans are. Instead, they were all a bit more normal. Furious at my father for grounding me today. What a massive jerk. And looks awesome out there. Can't believe I'm stuck inside. As I got further along, they got a bit testier as Jessica grew upset that I wasn't texting back. Where are you? Thought we were friends. Are you still freaked out because of my father? It seemed that I really ought to write back to her, though I wasn't exactly sure what the proper response should be. Plus, I was having trouble focusing on it. I continued to have the nagging sense that I was missing something in the restaurant. It felt it felt as though my observational skills were kicking in and only not quite well enough. Like I'd seen an important object, whatever it was, and hadn't fully grasped it at the time. I looked around again more slowly, this time doing my part to take everything in, not to let a single item escape my grasp. So, Mike said, what happens now? Well, Zoe said, I guess Cyrus and Alexander will have to come get us. That's Erica's grandfather and father. They're both CIA too. And then, I'm not sure. Figuring out what the bad guys are up to is usually Ben's job. Really? Mike turned to me intrigued. You're that good? I'm okay, I said. He's way better than okay, Zoe corrected. Ben's the best. Every time he's faced the bad guys, he's always had their plans figured out. Mike's eyes widened. Every time, he repeated. How many missions have you gone on? Not that many, I said humbly, still trying to focus on the room. This is his fourth, Zoe told Mike, which is huge given that he's only been at spy school for a year. A lot of kids never get a single mission the whole time they're there. But Ben has uncovered moles and saved the president. The president of the United States? Mike asked amazed. Oh, that's nothing, Zoe told him proudly. Last fall, Ben saved all of New York City from getting blown up. Mike stared at me, stunned. Zoe's exaggerating, I told him. I didn't save the whole city. Well, he saved a lot of it, Zoe stressed. He's exceptionally good at thwarting the plans of the bad guys. So now I guess we just need to give him some time to think things over so he can figure out what the Shangs are up to. And then we could go thwart their plans too. Wow, Mike said. And this whole time everyone thought you were just going to Nerd Academy. That's the problem with being a spy, I said. Everything's supposed to be a secret. Even when you save the world, everyone back home still thinks you're a dork. I had imagined this event plenty of times, the moment when Mike finally learned my big secret and realized I was much cooler than he thought. But now that it was here, it wasn't quite as wonderful as I had hoped. Because at the moment, the past didn't really matter at all. What mattered was the present. And despite Zoe's belief in me, I had absolutely no idea what Leo Shang was up to. Even after 3 days on the case, I was drawing a giant blank, and time was running out. If I didn't figure out what Operation Golden Fist was soon, I'd have failed. And failure in spy school was far more than just a bad grade on your permanent record. It meant chaos, destruction, and a lot of other terrible things. Across the room, one of the snowmobilers shifted in her seat, revealing a metal sign nailed to the wall behind her. It was old and rusted, dented 100 times over. Property of Climax Moby Denim Mine, it read. Guards on perimeters. Guards on premises, no trespassing. I sat up, suddenly forgetting all about the food or anything else. The waitress stopped at our table, bearing glasses of water for all of us. Is the Climax mine somewhere near here? I asked. Sure is, she said. It's just a few miles up the road. Half the town works there. She plucked the glasses down and headed back to the kitchen. What's all this about the Climax mine? Zoe asked. Look, I said, pointing across the room. Oh, Warren hooted. Another jackalope. How do you think those things get in their burrows with those big horns? Not a jackalope, I said. The sign. Jessica Shang misheard her father. He was saying Molly Denham when he was really going to see Mal be Dame. Well, I'll be danged, Woodchuck said. I can't believe Climax Mine is here. You've heard of it, I asked. Sure, I wrote a paper on it back when I was in spy school for my history of espionage. I knew the mine was in the Rockies, I just didn't realize we were particularly practically on top of it. Whoa, Mike said, slow down. What is this Molly whatever stuff? Molybdenum, I corrected. It's one of the elements. Its primary industrial use is to make steel much stronger, Woodchuck explained. It's extremely important for making weapons, especially large-scale ones. The Germans first figured that out back during World War One. They were building these massive cannons that could fire 1-ton shells from more than 10 miles. But the cannons were tearing apart from their own explosions. Then the German scientists realized that adding molybdenum to the steel would prevent that from happening. But there was only one place on Earth known to have large deposits of it, the Climax mine. So the Germans sent a covert team out here and essentially stole it from the owner. Then they started mining molybdenum and shipped all of it, to Germany. The Germans captured an entire mine inside Colorado, Mike asked, and then used it to make weapons that they fought us with? And we let them do it? Yes, Woodchuck replied. In fact, the United States didn't even notice the mine was in German hands for 3 years. It was a major intelligence failure. Of course, there wasn't a CIA back then, and much of any organized spy network, really. Climax is one of the reasons the government realized they needed an intelligence agency. Once we found out what was going on, we took the mine back from the Germans, and it's stayed in American hands ever since. To this day, there's been only one other major deposit of molybdenum found in the entire world. Where? I asked, although I was pretty sure I could guess the answer. China, Woodchuck replied. I'm betting there's a good chance Liu Sheng controls it. I said, anyone have a working phone? Already on it. Mike had his phone out and was Googling the answer. I don't see anything about the owner, but it's called Hugenson. Hugenson, Zoe exclaimed. I saw Jawa type that name like 10 dozen times while he was eavesdropping on Shang's business calls last night. Do you know what Shang was saying about it? I asked. No, that was Jawa's bug to deal with, Zoe explained, but Shang was certainly talking about Hungshan a lot. The waitress came over with a plate piled high with bacon and sausage. Eggs are coming, kids, but I figured would want this fast. She set it on the table, and we all dove in, spearing meat with our forks and wolfing it down. Everyone except Warren, who grows, where's the pickles? It was pretty much the best thing I ever tasted. One thing, Mike said, through a mouthful stuffed with sausage. So Shang owns another molybdenum mine. What's the big deal with him looking at this one? It's not that's not a crime, is it? No, I admitted, but Erica heard him say that he was plotting something for today, and he's definitely been secretive, acting like he's going hella skiing when he's not, renting the entire hotel and hiding something in his room. I trailed off. A horrible thought occurred to me. What's wrong? So he asked. I think I know what Operation Golden Fist is. I snapped to my feet and pulled my jacket back on. Where are you going? Woodchuck asked me. We've still got eggs coming. I need to talk to Erica right away. I grabbed a handful of bacon, rebuckled my ski boots, doing my best to ignore the resurgence of pain, and then headed through the restaurant. Cyrus needs to hear about this. I raced out the door into the parking lot and found Erica nearby. Unfortunately, she was unconscious. She was sprawled on her side in the snow not too far from the horse. I ran to her side to check on her. To my relief, she was still breathing. It occurred to me a little too late that I just dropped my guard in a very big way. Get your hands up, Ben, someone said from behind me. And don't try anything funny. I've got a gun. I knew the voice. I did exactly as ordered, turning around to face my nemesis, Murray Hill. Murray Hill shows back up, shows his ugly face. All right, chapter 20, Showdown. Murray wasn't much older than me, but he had been a dangerous covert agent for Spider. The last time I had seen him, he was running for his life as a missile was about to blow up a good bit of New Jersey. despite there being hundreds of CIA agents around. He'd escaped and disappeared without a trace. He hadn't changed much since then. He was still as slovenly as ever. His hair was unkempt, his posture was terrible, and the thick parka he wore was splotchy with food stains. He was flashing the same cocky smile he always did when he had me in the business end of a gun, and spoke with his same lackadaisical attitude like he was having a great time. Hey, Ben, it's good to see you. Since he caught me by surprise, it took me a few moments to manage to say anything. I had 1,000 questions all vying to be asked at once. Where did, how, when, what are you doing here? I'm competing in the half pipe at the X Games, Murray said sarcastically. What do you think I'm doing here? I'm working for the bad guy. You mean Spider's working with Shang? Spider? Murray laughed. Those jerks don't know anything about this. The whole organization is a mess that you blew up their headquarters. So you're not working for them anymore. Those dirtbags left me at the scene of a crime to be their patsy while they all fled the country. That was completely uncool. I am not about to work for people who don't respect me. I'm a freelance evil agent now. There are freelance evil agents? I asked, unable to hide my surprise. Oh, yeah, tons of them. Spider was unusual. There's not a whole lot of organizations out there dedicated to causing chaos and mayhem full time. A guy like Leo Shank pulls off maybe one or two evil schemes per year, if that. In fact, sometimes he's gone years without doing anything evil. So there's no point in him having a bunch of guys like me on the payroll 24/7. Instead, he hires us all for a scheme. We come in, we get the job done, then we move on. Like Dane Bramage. Yeah, that slab of meat's a freelance too. It's way better than working for Spider. The pay's higher, the accommodations have been top notch, and I don't have to worry about anyone setting me up as a patsy and blowing me up. The only problem with this plan has been the weather. I'm freaking freezing. Warren shivered and rubbed himself with the arm he wasn't holding a gun on me. Ski people are crazy. Coming someplace this cold for a vacation? What do they have against the beach? I glanced toward the restaurant door, hoping someone else from the gang would be heading outside soon. Murray's major weakness was that he loved to talk. I figured if I could keep him on his favorite subject, himself, I could stall long enough for someone to come to my rescue. So, have you been here with the Shangs the whole time? In Vale? No, believe me, if I'd been here, there'd be no way you would have gotten anywhere close to Jessica as you did. I was in China, handling some really important stuff this morning. I got in on the ground floor on this one. In fact, a lot of this whole thing was my idea. So I fly in to help put the final pieces of this plan into action. And here Leo's having a cow because some kid charmed his way in with Jessica. Well, the alarm bells go off for me. I ask if there's a picture of the kid, and he shows me, and I'm like, holy guacamole. That's no normal kid. That's Ben Ripley. So then you're the reason I almost got killed today. Oh, no, no, no. The reason you were almost killed today is that you can't stop poking your nose into other people's business. You know the risks with the spy game. I tried to convince you that it was much safer to be a bad guy, but frankly, I've given up trying to recruit you now. You've burned that bridge, or more to the point, you prevented us from burning some bridges. I and totally ruined our plans to cause chaos in Manhattan. I glanced toward the restaurant door again. This time Murray noticed. Looking for your friends? He grinned knowingly. They should be along any minute, any moment. Ah, there they are. Now the door swung open and my friends emerged, only they weren't coming to my aid by attacking Murray. Instead, they filed out with their hands up, Zoe, Warren, and Woodchuck. To my relief, Mike wasn't with them. The others were all followed by a girl about Murray's age. She had long brown hair tied in a pigtail, giant lavender earmuffs, a nose ring, and a gun, which was trained on my friends. You didn't think I came here without backup, did you? Murray asked me slyly. Ben, this is Jenny Lake, my cohort in crime, and my girlfriend. He wiggled his eyebrows as he said this. Jenny, this is Ben Ripley. Oh, hey, Jenny said, seeming genuinely friendly and excited. It's nice to meet you. Murray's told me so much about you. Nice to meet you too, I said, not because it was nice to meet her, because it was kind of a reflex. Zoe shot me an annoyed look. Ben, she's the bad guy. Sorry, I apologize. It just seemed polite. Ben Murray grinned at the others, basking in the moment. Now, Zoe, just because we're the enemies doesn't mean we can't have manners. I'm pleased to see that you've been activated. You've worked hard for this. Yeah, Woodchuck, once I heard the CIA was in town, I figured you might be here since you're Mr. Outdoorsy and all. Though Warren, you're a bit of a surprise. I really thought you would have washed out of spy school by now. Do you have any pickles on you? Warren asked. I'm really jonesing for a pickle. Warren leaned into me and whispered, "Is it just me, or has Warren gotten weird?" He banged his head on a tree pretty hard earlier, I replied, knocked himself silly. Ah, Murray said, that explains it. It occurred to me why Mike wasn't with the others. Murray had no idea who Mike was, and thus Jenny wouldn't have known to look for him either. I wasn't exactly sure how Mike slipped away. There was no way to ask anyone what had happened. At the very least, though, I was relieved to know that he was safe. Maybe he was even calling the police. Of course, I couldn't guarantee that. For all I knew, Mike was in the restaurant bathroom, completely unaware that the rest of us had been captured. Or maybe he'd been knocked unconscious himself. And if he hadn't called the police, the only other way I could think to get out of this jam was to hope Erica would regain consciousness and kick Murray's butt. Either way, I needed to keep stalling. I turned to Jenny Lake and asked, nice and friendly, So, how long have you and Murray been dating? Only a few weeks, she replied. She seemed surprisingly sweet for a villain. Shane recruited both of us to work this job, and we met the first day. The moment we saw each other, we just connected, It was amazing, and ever since then, I've been his little pookie wookie, and he has been my fuzzy wuzzy bear. Oh, Warren sighed. That's adorable. Meanwhile, Zoe mimed throwing up. Jenny, Murray said, now that the gang is all here, we really ought to take care of these guys. Woodchuck, could you be a pal and carry Erica for me? I'd do it myself, but I tweaked my back doing push ups the other day. This was obviously a lie to impress Jenny. Murray had always avoided physical exertion like the plague. Woodchuck obediently picked Erica up and slung her over his shoulder. I had been hoping that Erica was only faking being unconscious so she could get the jump on Murray, but now she flopped about limply. I was pretty sure this was actual limp flopping and not an incredible act by Erica, meaning she wasn't going to be any help. Where are you taking us? Zoe demanded. Oh, not too far. Murray motioned for us to start walking across the snowy parking lot toward the base of the closest mountain. Over there should do. I just want to get you away from the restaurant and any witnesses before we take care of you. He looked to Jenny. The problem with Ben is you have to get rid of him quickly, and if we let him hang around too long, he'll figure out our plans. Oh, I've already figured them out, I said. Murray shot me a skeptical glance. No, you haven't. You're going to set off a nuclear bomb to irradiate the Climax mine so Shane can corner the world market and mold him. Murray gaped at me with a genuine surprise. You've got to be kidding me. You did it again. Man, you're good. Pokey, did I tell you he was good? You did, Jenny agreed. I thought we really had you on this one, Murray told me. How'd you figure it out? Wasn't that hard. I stopped walking, hoping Murray and Jenny would be too distracted to notice. I know Dane Bramage used to work for the arms dealer named Paul Lee who hooked Spider up with some nukes before. Then I saw the case for something like a nuke in Liu Shang's hotel room. And I know Shang's been doing some sort of reconnaissance on this in these mountains all week instead of helo skiing. So when I realized that Climax Mine was close and that he owns the only other major supply of mobidium in the world, it all just kind of made sense. Really? Murray asked. Because it seems like a pretty big jump to assume Shang's going to nuke mobidium to corner the market. Well, there was one more thing, I admitted. The name of the operation is Golden Fist. And what you're doing is basically the same scheme as in Goldfinger. Murray suddenly looked as rattled as ever seen him. I don't know what you're talking about, he said. Goldfinger, the greatest James Bond movie of all time, I explained. Ulrich Goldfinger plans to corner the world's gold market by nuking Fort Knox. You're doing the same thing with mobidium. Jenny gaped at Murray in astonishment. Murray, you told me and Shang this was your original idea. Did you steal it from a movie? Murray turned bright red. No, he said defensively. I never even heard of this Goldfinger. Yes, you have, Warren told him. You used to watch it all the time at Sky School, back before you were evil. I can't believe you, Jenny exclaimed. Shang paid you to come up with a way to take out the competition, and you just stole it from the plot of a movie. I didn't steal it, Murray said defensively. I modified it. Sounds like stealing it to me, Jenny huffed, looking very annoyed. So what's the big deal, Murray said. We're the bad guys. We're only supposed to commit crimes, Jenny pointed out, not lie to each other. We're about to set off a nuclear bomb, Murray exclaimed. And you're upset at me with a little plagiarism? This is about trust, Jenny said curtly. The two of them were quite distracted now. They seemed to have completely forgotten about marching us across the parking lot to our deaths. I glanced toward Erica, hoping to see her awake. If there was ever a good time to catch an enemy by surprise, this was it. Only Erica still lay limp across Woodchuck's shoulder. Trust is important to me, Jenny told Murray. I need to know that when you say something, you mean it. Of course you could trust me, Murray said. I never lie. You lied to us all the time, Zoe pointed out. When you were a mole at school, you did nothing but lie to us. That was different, Murray argued. That was business. He turned to Jenny. You deceive people all the time for business. Don't try to make this about me, Jenny said. Murray groaned. Do we have to have this conversation right now? In front of the hostages? Why don't we talk about the fact that you're setting off a nuclear device just to make money? Zoe said angrily. Innocent people are going to die in this scheme. Well, we are evil, Murray told her. That's how these things work. You don't corner the world market in mobidium by giving people a free puppy. And speaking of killing people, he glanced at his watch. Where the heck are those guys? What guys? Murray asked. The guys who are going to kill you, Murray replied. This caught me off guard. I did a bad job hiding it, and Murray noticed. Normally, he might have taken some joy in this, but he had grown quite testy during his argument with Jenny. I'm not as dumb as you think, he told me. I know you were been up to this whole time trying to distract me so I don't kill you right away, giving Eric a chance to wake up and rescue. Well, it just so happened that I'm the one who's been distracting you. I've been waiting for the real thugs to get here so they could take care of you once and for all. I grimaced, feeling like an idiot now. So, you were never going to kill me or kill us yourself. Murray looked hurt. I may be evil, but I'm not a psychopath. I don't like shooting people. My psychiatrist says I have moral issues, unlike him. He pointed across the parking lot. Dane Bramage had arrived. Not only was he still alive, but he looked as if getting blown off a cliff caught in an avalanche only made him angrier. Crud muffin, so he cursed. What does it take to kill that guy? Thankfully, Dane was a good distance away, and it appeared he had lost his gun in the avalanche, but it still wasn't going to be too much before he reached us, borrowed Murray's gun, and took us out. I gave Erica one final hopeful glance, praying her condition had changed, but she remained stubbornly lifeless over Woodchuck's shoulder. Murray clucked his tongue as though he was disappointed in me. She's not going to save you this time, he taunted. Sorry, Ben. Looks like your luck has finally run out. The roar of an engine suddenly caught through the winter air. A snowmobile rocketed out from behind a truck and slammed into Murray. With a yelp, Murray went flying and plopped into a snowdrift. His gun skidded across the parking lot. Fuzzy Bear! Jenny gasped, forgetting to keep her own gun trained on us. Zoe decked her with one punch. Jenny rocked on her heels and landed flat on her back, unconscious. The snowmobile driver flipped up the visor of his helmet, revealing his true identity. Mike Berzinski. That guy was bad, right? Yes. Tell me I didn't just flatten an innocent person. He was bad, I confirmed. Thanks. In the distance, Dame Bramett had seen what had happened. He roared angrily and started running toward us. Looks like we better split, Mike said. He tossed 2 sets of keys to Woodchuck and Zoe and then pointed to the 2 other snowmobiles parked nearby. Take those. They each hold 2 people. Zoe and Warren scrambled for one, while Woodchuck lugged Erica to the other. I raced across the parking lot and grabbed Murray's gun. As I did, Murray lunged for it. Luckily for me, Murray had about the speed and reflexes of a koala bear. He didn't come anywhere close to the gun. I snatched it up and aimed it at him. He raised his hands in fear. You wouldn't shoot a friend, would you? You're not my friend, I told him. Luckily for Murray, though, I wasn't much for shooting people myself. I was more of the handcuff the bad guys type of person. Only I didn't have any handcuffs or anything else to restrain Murray or Jenny. I didn't have any time either. Dane was barreling toward me. And then the rest of Shang's men showed up. One of the car tanks spun into the parking lot coming our way. The other 2 snowmobiles revved to life. Zoe and Warren zoomed out of the parking lot while Woodchuck followed with Erica. I ran back to Mike's snowmobile and hopped on behind him. Let's go, I shouted. Mike then hit the gas. As we raced out of the parking lot, I could hear Murray yelling back behind us, This isn't over, Ben! You haven't seen the last of Murray Hill! I didn't even look back. My goodness, that was a long chapter. All right. I am going to stop there today, guys. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can message me on Dojo, or you can message me on my teacher Facebook page. Like I said, once we get these distance learning plan firmed up, you guys will know about it by the end of the week. I know we are planning on shooting to start our distance learning next Monday, April 20th. So you guys can kind of circle your calendars for that you guys will start getting some activity ideas from me about what to do during that first week. And like I said, I'm going to try to keep it as simple as I can, because I know that this is going to be challenging, could be challenging for families to be able to not only help one student, but you guys may have multiple students in your homes that are all needing help. So we're just going to take it day by day and step by step. This is going to be new for everybody. Patience go around for everyone will be a must while we do this. I know my read-alouds are definitely going to be a big part of this. So if you guys have been following along with the read-aloud, please continue doing that, as that'll probably make up a good chunk of our English as you guys listening to the story. And I might post some comprehension questions to you guys on Dojo, and you guys will then write your responses there. So that'll be something, to keep in mind, that hopefully you guys have been paying attention to the book, because starting next week, I will be posing questions to you guys about what's going on in the story to kind of gauge your guys' comprehension. I could tell you that in my class for writing, we usually do paragraph of the week, where we focus on a particular topic, and you guys, by the end of the week, write a 5 to 6 sentence paragraph on that topic. That is something that I think also that we will continue to do. But again, I'm not going to ask you to write a paragraph in the day. It'll be a process. We'll work on it a little bit every day. I know Mystery Science right now, till the end of the year, is offering all of their lessons with student links. So I can share those links with you guys on Dojo. I know I shared it way at the beginning of our quarantine. I want to say during our first week when we weren't at school, that link was one of many online resources that I shared with you families. That is something that you and your kids could do. So I might just pick like a couple lessons every week and be like, hey, why don't you guys go to this link, watch these videos, answer these discussion questions, and have that be, as simple as that for science. I am looking at posting like some Bill Nye the Science Guy video links too, and then you'll have some discussion questions about those. Social studies I'm working on too. We were covering colonial America just as, we were forced, into this quarantine last month. We were getting ready to start talking about the 13 colonies. So I'm going to be working in some videos about the 13 colonies and have you guys answer discussion questions about what you learned about each set of colonies, because the 13 colonies, each of them were different from each other, and they were unique based on their regions. You had New England, you had the middle colonies, and you had the southern colonies, and they all developed for different reasons and centering around different economic reasons, whether it was, in the South being, centering around early tobacco growth, or in New England being very much on the coast that, that's where, you had fishing and you had timber for wood and, shipbuilding, because you're right there on the Atlantic Ocean. And the middle colonies, that's, where, manufacturing came in, making things, building things, banking in New York. So I'll find some videos and make some short videos on Dojo. Dojo, has it where I could post an 8-minute video where I could start doing that. And that's kind of what I'm thinking about moving forward next week. Also to work in our social studies that way. So those are some of my ideas of where I'm going with this. And again, I'm going to make it, short discussion questions simply that you guys could then post on Dojo your answers. I'd post the questions there. And like I said, paragraph of the week, over 5 days, we're going to write about one topic. Just, write a little bit every day. I'm not going to ask too much of you guys. Just the fact that, you are making the effort to continue your learning any way that you can. Also, Prodigy. You guys still have access to your Prodigy accounts. That could be where you guys get some practice with math also. So when more of my plans firm up, like I said, I will share them by the end of the week. And I know Haviland, we will have our general distance learning plan ready to go and finalized by the end of the week. And I know Mrs. Van Black will be sharing that out. So when I have things more firmed up and when she makes that announcement, I'll be able to talk more about that later in the week. So I'm going to sign off now. I'm glad that I had a few of you join me today for the Read Aloud. Keep checking back. I'll read 2 more chapters tomorrow. I'll probably be around the same time, be about around that 1 o'clock time tomorrow. So you could probably, set your reminder, 1 o'clock, Mr. G will go live again. So thank you again for joining me. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your Monday. See you tomorrow, guys. Bye.